Chapter 19. Chad. I hadn't noticed you before, but your walking is balanced. You don't have a cane around the house, but you never did use one, and you're wearing long pants. What has changed? Cody said, sipping a cup of coffee when I entered the kitchen. He appeared to be hanging around the house more now than ever. He'd picked a fine time to become a homebody. I wished the fuck he'd go out and give me and Tay some time alone without him skulking around. Don't you have someplace to be? I thought you would drop in at the company Father built and talk to the employees. You're the face and the leader now, and you never seem to make an on-site visit. Don't you think the employees have a right to see who runs the company, in person? He left the mansion for you to run and take care of, and he left the company to me to administer, and there haven't been any problems yet. You get money to take care of your lifestyle with Taylor, so what the fuck is your problem? Cody glanced at me and bit down on a bagel with cream cheese. I said bluntly. And as far as a lifestyle, what kind of lifestyle are you hinting at? I talked to Jen, and she said that you were out and introducing Taylor as your fiancé. And what the fuck is it to you or her? I raised an eyebrow and poured a cup of coffee. You have your man, so why are you worried if I have one too? Because you're straight. One of you will break the other's heart. Don't tell me you're worried about me breaking Taylor's heart, and who would I do that with? Jen. She still wants you. I don't want her, and don't mention her to me again. I think you should see a therapist. And who would you recommend? The one who told you that it was all in your head, and that Father should send you away to a camp, and let them deconstruct you, and cure you of your homosexuality. Don't be vicious. Weren't you being nasty by mentioning Jen, when I told you what she did when she learned that I couldn't walk, and the doctors amputated me below the knees on both legs? She ran like a bat out of hell and left me alone, and so did you. I didn't want to remember the pain and heartache that I went through months ago. Couldn't the both of them let it go? I wanted to get past this and forget, but it appeared that it was more of a problem that I'd chosen a man to fall in love with, other than a selfish woman who couldn't see my worth until now. At least I consulted someone, and paid for those bionic legs that you only saw fit to wear lately, Cody said, taking credit for all the hard work I'd put in trying to walk through the pain. I had to get my body strong first before I could get fitted for them. There's a lot you don't know and don't realize, like physical and mental pain involved in trying to be whole, which I will never be. You weren't here when Taylor would take me to the therapist, sit and wait for hours while I went through those painful exercises, and then I'd complain, curse, and take my frustration out on him. What did Taylor do to deserve me calling him names because you weren't here, and Jen had deserted me along with my so-called friends? I took my frustrations out on someone that showed me kindness, even when I wasn't kind. Taylor was a better man than me, because I'd walk away from anyone who treated me the way I did with him. I should have saved my bitterness and resentment for those friends I thought I had, or you and Jen for not being by my side when I needed someone the most. Or held it in and dealt with it, but I couldn't, and I took the one person that was close to me and dropped all my shit on him. The only person I could depend on to bring me back to my senses was Taylor, because he fought with me and gave me a reason to live, and because of that I love him. And I will not let him go. Not for you or anyone. Not because he's a man, but because he's the person that wouldn't give up on me, and he's who I love. He would have to walk away first, because I will never. You've never been in my position, therefore you probably wouldn't understand that it's more than sex with me, but it's wonderful too, and I must say that I'm surprised and I enjoy it with him. Cody stared at me, and for the first time he was speechless, and I saw tears pool in his eyes. I've loved like that, and I do know what you're talking about. You never asked me about the older man I lived with in New York. Well, he died of heart trouble 3 months ago, and I've been trying to reconcile that loss ever since. I placed my hand on Cody's shoulder. I'd never seen my older brother like that. His head bowed and tears running down his cheeks. His head resting on my shoulder. Get yourself together, Cody. We have to meet Taylor's brother Miles today. Cody wiped the back of his hand over his wet cheeks and eyes. Then he tucked his hands in his pockets, took a deep breath, and said, I have to go to our father's office in the downtown area. Well, that's a first for you. I'm sure the company managers will be glad to see the face of the business now, and maybe you should stop referring to it as father's business and change a few signs. That's a good idea, and I'll take that into consideration. Just keep up the good work you're doing getting yourself healthy and fit, and maybe you'll join me one day. I probably will, but first can we get past everything and work on our relationship, and the idea that Taylor will be living here. Please try to make him feel as if this is his home too. Isn't that a bit of a stretch? Cody questioned and turned away. Not if I'm going to marry him. He hasn't said yes when I asked him, but I'm hopeful. What about Jen? Cody reminded me, as if he'd never heard anything I said. What about Jen? We both turned, and standing with his morning ruffled curly hair and his pajama bottoms hugging his hips, a short tee covering only his chest, one of my favorites that I adored with the slogan, "Kiss me in the mornings" written across the shirt, was Taylor, looking sexy as hell, and I placed my palm over my erection to keep Cody from seeing it. Whenever I'd glance at his tee before I climbed out of bed, I'd check to see what was written each morning since he'd been living with me, and there was a different saying. It made me smile, and I would lean and kiss him for just being him. One morning it said, "Hug me, hold me, don't walk away." I didn't. I climbed back into bed and gave him what we both wanted. Taylor had these tees he wore with little else, because he wanted to cuddle with me and feel my hard cock on his ass cheeks whenever I'd fallen asleep near him. I'd feel his nude bottom, wrap my fist around his shaft, then I'd wake with my cock wet and feeling happy to be alive. Taylor strolled over to the pot and poured a cup of coffee, leaned on the counter meeting Cody's gaze. I could tell Cody was attracted to Taylor because he'd turn his face not wanting to lock eyes with him, and why not? Taylor was gorgeous and gay like Cody, but he was mine and I'd redeemed, cashed all in for him, and I wasn't giving him back to the world. After Taylor took a sip of his coffee, he repeated, "What about Jen?" Well, since no one wants to talk about her, I spoke to her, or rather she wanted to talk to me yesterday, and warned me that she was interested in Chad and that I didn't stand a chance with him. Taylor twisted his mouth and turned to me, probably to see my expression. There wasn't any of consequence because once I turned away from her, there wasn't any way I'd return to rejection and self-loathing, because she thought I wasn't good enough for her, now that I would no longer run for public office. I'd put that whole notion of politics on hold for now, until I could get my life together. That's not going to happen, Taylor, I assured him, reaching for his chin and brushing his morning stubble, then turning his face around with my fingers to meet my eyes, to reassure him of my devotion to him. I wasn't worried. "Were you, Cody?" Taylor said with a smile, leaning across the island and offering me a kiss. Cody rolled his eyes and said, "What time is the family get-together?" I could tell by the sound of his sarcastic voice that it was the last thing he wanted to do, or would do if his feet hadn't been held to the fire. "Will 6 work for you?" I asked. Cody placed his cup down, turned away, then took a deep breath as if he was composing himself, and walked to the door. Then he turned on the balls of his feet to face us as I waited to hear what he'd say next. "Chad, text me the address of the restaurant. And Taylor, try to wear something more appropriate when you come into the kitchen." I glanced down at Taylor, because I didn't see what he was talking about. Not everyone was fully dressed early in the morning if they didn't have to be someplace, and Cody strode away. Taylor glanced over at me and smiled. "What? You make him nervous." "Why?" Let's not go into that today, babe. Cody has agreed to meet Miles, and that's a first for him. It seems he's doing a lot of firsts this year. It's not easy. He's lost his partner, and he's been hiding that and didn't want anyone to know, and I guess it got too much for him. Since Cody is gay and my brother Miles is gay, and Miles isn't dating anyone, then maybe those two could get together. Wouldn't that be delightful? Don't make fun of me, Chad. I was serious. That's what I am afraid of. Can't you see a problem with that, babe? You were serious. And I reached for Taylor's face and tilted it up, and brushed my lips over his. He placed his tongue on my lips, teasing me as I chased the kiss I knew I wanted. He pulled away, passed his finger over the ridges of my lips. If Cody wasn't in the house and there weren't servants lurking around, I'd hike your pretty ass up here and fuck you, I said with a whisper. What's wrong with the bed? We can try that once we get our own place, Tay said. Do you mean you're going to accept my proposal? I asked. I'm thinking about it, but a guy has to weigh his options. I can't go off with the first handsome rich dude who asks me to marry him. Well, let me see. Taylor placed his finger in his mouth. The last proposal I had, I was in the 7th grade, and Jamie what's-his-name said he was gay and asked me to run away with him. I had to break his heart because I was waiting for a better offer, and I think you're the one. I chuckled and hoisted Taylor into my arms. You don't even remember his surname. I don't have to. He works in Wounded Inked, and he's been my friend since we were boys. Looking up at me, while I carried Tay to the elevator, I said, You have to show me my rival because now I'm interested, and I'm hot for you now that I know Jamie what's-his-name wanted you to run away with him. Did you know I was jealous? You're dealing with a jealous man. That story about you running away with another man got me hot. He was a boy. I don't think he remembers anyway. Who would have thought you would be kinky? Tie me up. Sounds good to me, Tay joked, but I was serious. Oh, he remembers, I said, standing in front of the elevator as it stopped at the first floor. When the door opened, Cody was on his way out. Cody shook his head and rolled his eyes, and headed for the garage. When the door closed and we were in the confines of the elevator, I said, He's just jealous. You'd think he'd be happy for me. I think he is. Did you tell him about the party for Cole? Oh fuck. I forgot. And when Taylor opened the door to our bedroom, I marched in and dropped him on the bed. Take off those outrageous sexy clothes, because they're not appropriate for the bedroom. I tried to sound like Cody, and it had us both chuckling like two boys whose sister said that she'd tell on us if we didn't do what she wanted. I couldn't believe he said what I had on wasn't appropriate attire for the kitchen. What century is he in? You don't want to know, Tay. I'm going to take off my bionic legs, and when I return, I want you lying in the bed naked, on your stomach, spread-eagled as a punishment for telling me that story about Jamie. Yes, sir, Lieutenant. Anything else? First things first. I'm sure I'll find something else for you to do.